with what amazing
lead to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit Brass sideways, what a save!
Look to the outside as Cronkite goes off. De Jong into second place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
Trying this contact though.
Slide left of the racetrack. Chris Renner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that second spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact. He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schubert, there's a little bit of door banging as well. Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
My name is Stephen Corpenos. I'm a senior web developer here at iRacing, and I work on the beta UI. It's funny because iRacing has been around for 10 years, but we want to keep delivering the best possible user experience to our customers, and we've found that the old UI isn't exactly what we're trying to deliver in 2018. We want to use new features and provide the best possible experience when using the sim. One of the projects that I've been working on is some custom heat racing configuration for hosted races. We've been listening to our customers. Everyone's been asking for custom heat races. Maybe you want to tweak a few things with the preset iRacing configurations. Well, now you can using the beta UI. So once you're at the homepage of the beta UI, you just go to create a race. Then from there you go to your set race options. And you'll notice here under event types, you can actually choose heat racing. First, I'm going to show you how to create a new format from scratch. You can choose the number of entrants. And as you can see, when I made that change, the change was actually reflected on the right side in the graph. Also, you can use the estimated duration at the bottom of the graph when you're changing the length to see what the total duration of your event will be. In addition, you can customize every aspect of the session information, practice, qualifying, heat races, consolations, and of course, the final feature race. Because the beta UI allows us to develop features that are robust and complex, this feature will be exclusively available on the beta UI. Once you've made all of the changes, you can hit save. Say you forgot what you selected. You can always preview it using the preview format button. We are very excited to release the brand new heat racing configuration feature that will be available in Season 3 of iRacing.
Welcome one, welcome all to a SimSpeed TV presentation here on the iRacing Esports Network. It's Thursday night in our part of the world, and that means it is Speedway night. And my goodness, we are ready to crown a champion in the ASC Series, Australia's premier online sprint car series by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events and presented by SM Sim Sport. It's been a difficult fight over the course of this 8-round season. We've completed 7 of them, and now we're at the last race of the season at the magnificent Lernerville Speedway in Pennsylvania. Joel Berkeley currently in the championship lead, but Daniel Hartigan and Harry Stewart are very close behind, and this night of racing could decide everything after a long and arduous season. For SimSpeed TV, I'm Reese Gardner, and joining me in the commentary box for this final round, once again, Nick Skariev. G'day, Nick. We're at the end of the season finally, and what a place to do it. This 0.4 of a mile track, no wall around the outside, which means it's certainly going to be intense, very borderline up the top.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Race. This championship is really going to end in a crescendo, so we're in for a real treat tonight. Just looking, I'm sure we'll have a bit more of an in-depth look at that points table at the moment, but yeah, not very much separating too many people, especially with these drop rounds as well. We've seen the series leader Joel Berkeley not having too good of a run in round 6 and round 7. So he'll really want to try and get a good result here in round 8 to wrap out the championship.
Yeah, he certainly will. These are the standings as they are, and couple of caveats. Of course, there are 2 dropped rounds that drivers have the liberty of getting rid of, and their best result is doubled in terms of points. So that will define who becomes the champion. And we don't quite have access to everything to determine those numbers in real time, but we are in contact with Race Control, and they will be updating us on who the points leader is before the feature, and then confirm the champion after the checkered flag finishes. Of course, once again, it's going to be our friend the Spinny Wheel making an appearance, because as usual in this series, there is a random invert for the feature. So it'll be interesting to see what number we get this time. I'm really looking forward to seeing if there's going to be another event of chaos like we've seen when the invert has been, oh gosh, something like 17 positions or something like that. Let's take a look at where Lernerville is. Meanwhile, it's in Pennsylvania, just outside Pittsburgh. There, the small town of Sava in Pennsylvania, and zooming on in. Lernerville Speedway, small facility, but an excellent one. Opened in 1967, and it has been wowing audiences with events like the Firecracker 100 ever since. And it's a circuit that has some interesting lines you can take around it. And even on the satellite image, you can see that the top of the circuit has a berm that separates, and it's a very sheer drop past the top of the circuit. Nick, there is no wall to save you around here if you overcook it.
Yeah, that's right. We have seen in some of the previous rounds, some of the drivers will really run their car along the outside of the wall, almost like almost say a Matchbox Wheels car, which you definitely can't do that here. There is a wall obviously down that pit straight, but other than that, there is nothing to save you. So you need to be very careful. And same with incidents as well. You're not really going to be able to bounce back onto the track if you come a cropper.
Yeah, certainly not. We do have cars on track meanwhile. We're in the practice session before the time trials to set the grids for the heats. Reminder once again that drivers only get 2 laps in practice and 2 laps in qualifying, and already seeing how Lernerville can catch people out if you dip a wheel over that top berm. A very good view of what kind of lines you can take around here. So everyone just in the pits at the moment, waiting for the session to tick on over. We've had most of the drivers set times, and Caden Brown is at the top of the timesheets in practice. 12.383 seconds is his time. And Richie McLeod, who won the feature all the way back in round 1 at Volusia, close behind there, only 4 thousandths of a second separating them. But once we get into qualifying, we'll definitely see where people really stack up. I'm looking to see possibly Harry Stewart, Brad O'Brien, Joel Berkeley to make runs for the top positions.
Yeah, that's right. We will see our championship leaders shuffle through to the front there. So we're already seeing a few pretty well-known names there at the moment with Richard McLeod, Harry Stewart, Asher Manif. Yeah, so we are seeing Joel Berkeley at the moment sitting in 14th, but it is pretty early days at the moment. He generally, as we've seen in the last few rounds, he'll start pretty slow and build pace as he comes through.
Yeah, of course. Dirt racing is quite a long form sort of game. The races themselves are quite short, but the night extends over heats, and then you have the consolations, the C main, the B main, and then the feature at the end. Of course, if you finish in the top 4 in the heat, you get a free ticket straight through to the feature. But if you finish outside the top 4, well, you're going to have to work your way up for a spot on the feature grid. Next session is advancing on through, and we are going to get into the time trials. Only 4 minutes the drivers have to set a representative lap time, and only 2 laps to count for those grid positions. The clock is ticking, and we're about to see drivers make their way out on track. Already seeing that drivers like Jaden Russell, Max Lumsden, and Jacob Dixon, who we're taking a look at here, demonstrating the run out of the final corner. And this will give us a good opportunity, Nick, to see how the drivers tackle this circuit. Dixon running all the way up the top. The banking is most extreme up the top of the circuit, and you see out of the final corner there's a little bit of extra banking around the outside that you can use to launch yourself down the start-finish stretch. But once again, very little margin for error, and there's Jacob Dixon making that error and ending up on his side. So only 1 lap counting there for Jacob Dixon, a 12.987, but Daniel Hardigan, second in the championship, immediately to the top. Brad O'Brien puts himself in P4.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we did see him as well. You can see quite aggressive with that wheel work as he came down the straight there. We can, it's amazing seeing all these like very minor little subtle changes with these different driving styles there. You can see Tyler Stevenson checking out that berm there, running it very high there. So you can see don't go too wide there at the moment as we look just on board here with Caden Brown.
And Caden running towards the inside, coming off the start-finish stretch. Very rare, actually, to see that the drivers aren't running the pure outside line. It's worked out for Brown, though, putting himself in position 3 on the timesheet so far. What about Dylan DeBono? He currently sits in 11th, and it's a 12.485 for him. That puts him all the way up to 2nd on the timesheets. At the very least, if things stand the way they are, that is a 4th place start in Heat 2 for him. Kendall Tucker, another wild card, putting himself in 5th. And remember, Nick, Kendall Tucker at Lanier absolutely dominated.
Yeah, it's exactly right. But just looking on that time as well, like even though it's still a little bit early, we've still got just under 2 minutes to go. Still missing a few times off a few people. Cameron Dance obviously just jumping out of the skip barber in Detroit has quickly come over here to Pennsylvania, straight into the sprint car there. Hopefully he's going to put in a lap pretty soon. I think he just has.
Bradley Oldfield, have a look at them, just stopping there on the circuit. Oh my goodness! Cameron Dance vaulting himself over there. It looks like he's either very happy or extremely unhappy with 13th place on the timesheets. And Lockie Beatty, my goodness, having a lot of trouble keeping that thing straight up the top of the circuit.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We will see quite a few cars, I reckon, especially during those in the heat rounds and with those big qualifiers when they come through on the outside of the track there. Is we just see our series leader, Joel Berkeley. Looks like he's going to have a pretty big night ahead.
Up into 4th. That's pretty good. That's going to be a 4th place start in Heat 4. It'll translate to for him. Brenton Hobson, unfortunately not able to do anything better than P20, but Joel Berkeley, our championship leader, getting his night off to a good start as we focus on Synergy Sim Racing's Damian Rasmussen. 12.916 is the time that he is set, and possibly some technical issues there for Damien. We've unfortunately lost him. Looks like the majority of drivers have set times. The only driver in the server to have not set a time is Cooper Dunn. But there we go. That is the end of the time trials, and we can move through into the first heat of the final round of the ASC series. And this is quite a packed grid here for Heat 1. Nathan Norman and Brad O'Brien are on the front row, with Caden Brown and Daniel Hartigan, the fastest driver in qualifying, sitting there in 4th place. Lockie Beattie and Ryan Harris start off row 3, and Ryan Harris, after a pretty dismal season, is going to be looking for some good luck here in the final round, as is Scott Griffiths and Max Lumsden on row 4. Corey Steinhauser and Tyler Stevenson round out the top 10, and Cooper Dunn, if he takes to the grid, will be the 11th and final car in this field. But we'll have to wait and see if he is able to jump on in. Actually looks like he has left the server before this could get going, so it's only going to be 10 cars here. But a couple of laps around this 0.4 of a mile circuit. The drivers will suss out what it's like after qualifying, and we can get ready to go racing. And I think what you'll notice, Nick, here is the dichotomy of lines. Once again, I talk about it a lot, just about every dirt racing broadcast. Oh, don't want to get too far into that wall there, Caden, just making a little bit of contact there. But the very bottom of the circuit here at Lernerville is much flatter than the top, but the amount of speed you can carry, and if your car's set up for good rotation, you can actually run pretty competitive times, as we saw Caden do in qualifying.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see what lines people take, but you can almost see, even down the straights there, that elevation change from the top of the circuit to the bottom there, and it does, as they go through the corners, it gets it even exaggerated a little bit more there. So yeah, this will very much set the early framework for what the best strategy is, what the best lines are to take. So, and it will also come in when people vote on whether or not to reset the track condition.
Yes, indeed. Good point. As in every round of the series, the drivers get to vote on whether or not the track is reset before the feature. A lot of drivers like the racing more on slick tracks than fresh ones. But in comes the pace truck, and now Nathan Norman assumes control of the field. The control line is right there in the middle of the corner, and away he goes. It's a good start from Nathan Norman, but Brad O'Brien right on his rear bumper. Caden Brown continuing to fight there for 3rd, but Daniel Hartigan making a run around the outside and nabs that 3rd spot from Caden Brown coming into turns 3 and 4. Nathan Norman still defending from Brad O'Brien, and a little bit of a slide job attempt from Ryan Harris to get all the way down to the inside, not working. And there goes Brad O'Brien through into the lead, and it looks like he might just be able to keep it from Nathan Norman if he can maintain speed around the outside. He does.
Yeah, great work there as well. Hartigan, bit of a move up now into 2nd place, keeping his nose pretty clean there at the moment. Obviously, pretty high up in the championship, just coming down in a 4th place at the moment with Caden Brown just cutting in front.
Yeah, bit of a problem there for Daniel Hartigan. He tried up the inside, but you can lose momentum, and a little bit of oversteer there, putting him into the wall. That set him back now from the top 3, and he'll be under threat for the transfer spot potentially from Max Lumsden and Lockie Beattie, who are fighting amongst themselves. So at the moment, Daniel Hartigan has to concentrate on getting as far ahead of them as possible, so he is not under threat. Brad O'Brien is still leading at the moment, starting to gap Nathan Norman slightly. Caden Brown attempting a run up towards 2nd place.
Yeah, everyone's pretty spread out at the moment with about a half-second gap between the lot at the moment. So it looks like we won't see too much of a change in position over those top 4, but we'll see how we go with Max Lumsden still about 6/10 at the moment behind Daniel Hartigan.
And Hartigan, as we're on the final lap, looks like he might have a potential run at Caden Brown here. But up the front, rounding the final corner, Brad O'Brien takes the first victory of the night. Hartigan manages to hold off Lumsden for 4th place. Nathan Norman and Caden Brown, the rest of your top 3. So that's Heat 1. Run and done and won. Brad O'Brien putting his mark on this field right at the start of the night. And Max Lumsden, Lockie Beattie, Tyler Stevenson Corey Steinhauser, Ryan Harris, who unfortunately put his way down to 9th after a 6th-place start. Griffiths and Cooper Dunn as well will have to make their way through the rest of the night if they want a spot in the feature. Time then for Heat 2. It's Cameron Dance and Cody Lawrence on the front row of this one, with Harry Stewart 3rd place in the championship, 3rd on the grid. Dylan DeBono starts alongside him on the 2nd row. Bradley Oldfield and Scott Reed on row 3, with Russell and Rasmussen making it a row 4. Zach Howell and Nathan Bennett, the last 2 cars in this 10-car field. Now, Cameron Dance, he showed some great potential at Knoxville, some great potential also at the dirt track at Charlotte. I'm hoping that he will be able to take a heat win here, but Harry Stewart and Dylan DeBono, certainly no slouches. Neither are Cody Lawrence. We've seen some great performances from him in the last couple rounds.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've seen him, especially with Cameron, very good at getting that such a really strong qualifier. Always seems to be around that top 10, even a little bit further up. But yeah, just needs to work a little bit on that race pace at the moment. He did get quite a lot of pace in round 7, so hoping to see a pretty good result.
Yes, indeed. Only a corner to go then after this one, and we'll get the green flag. Of course, the control line right in the middle of turns 3 and 4, so anytime after that point, the leader can jump. Harry Stewart and Bradley Oldfield in the United cars behind will be looking to see when Dance decides to go, and he decides to go on the iRacing green, leaves it a bit late, and gets a good start initially, but pushed all the way to the outside. Stewart with the slide job, and there goes Cody Lawrence. He's been balked a bit, and that has involved Damian Rasmussen and Jaden Russell as well, all the way to the back of the grid. But now Harry Stewart pressuring Cameron Dance for the lead, using the inside line to great effect. But Cameron Dance maintaining the momentum around the outside, little bit of extra speed, little bit of extra downforce, and it's working out for him so far.
Yes, awesome job there by Cameron Dance, just clipping the wall there on the last lap, but managing to hold it steady, not wanting to go over that edge, quite obviously, but now just maintaining that gap now to Harry Stewart.
There's a little bit of a slick groove forming up at the top of the circuit now that the drivers are going to have to be wary of. Wind the rear wing back, make the car a little bit more stable through the corners. Stewart just into the wall as there's a bit of a trade there between Bradley Oldfield and Dylan DeBono for 3rd and 4th place. They've got a good gap to Scott Reed behind. They're not under threat for the transfer spot. Oldfield tries the narrow exit, and he's going to fling it up the inside and make contact with his teammate. There goes Harry Stewart, and Dylan DeBono sent flying over the berm. That's some drama there in Heat 2. It also means Cameron Dance is not under threat now for this lead on the penultimate lap. Bradley Oldfield elevated up into 2nd, and Cody Lawrence comes together with Zach Howell. He's been flung off the circuit as well, has Zach Howell. But now, coming on to the final lap, it is Dance, it is Oldfield, it is Scott Reed, and it is Cody Lawrence in 4th place. Harry Stewart may try and recover, but he won't be able to. Dance takes victory. Oldfield in 2nd, Reed 3rd, and Lawrence in 4th. Very dramatic conclusion to Heat 2.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Great work again, though, by Cameron Dance, keeping his nose clean. Absolutely done so excellent at that race there. Just looking, there's quite a lot of smoke on track there, so I think that might have been from a bit of damage on someone there. But yeah, we're just seeing a few victims now from those berms.
We certainly are, and it's time for Heat 3. We move on very quickly in these dirt events. Bob King and Callum Davidson make it an ace and United front row. Our wild card, Kendall Tucker, he dominated at Lanier. Can he dominate at Lernerville? We'll see how he goes starting from 3rd alongside Richie McLeod, who won the first round feature. James Rice and Braden Shute behind them, with Asher Manif and Clayton Davies in 7th and 8th. Jacob Dixon and Daniel Selleck round out the 10-car field for this one. Now, we know that Bob King, Callum Davidson, Kendall Tucker, Richie McLeod, and James Rice, all drivers that have tasted success in this series so far. Clayton Davies and Jacob Dixon as well have shown great potential, but starting a little bit further back, it's going to be difficult for them.
Yeah, it's exactly right, Race. A pretty stacked field. So Bob King definitely down the order in the way of championship contention, but very, very fast. Unfortunately, had a pretty rough round or last couple of rounds, especially in round 6. Unfortunately, due to a few incidents, could not get it done. So he's definitely right in the right spot at this moment in time.
That he is. And Bob King is going to be in the box seat starting from that first spot once again. It seems like the leader does get a slight advantage off the line, but with how wide the circuit is here at Lernerville, you can expect Callum Davidson to try and fling one up the inside. What will Richie McLeod and Kendall Tucker do, meanwhile, is another matter entirely. So, one more corner then. In goes the pace truck over the berm and into the pit lane. Bob King knows where the control line is, and he goes right at the control line, gets a great advantage, and Kendall Tucker immediately challenging Callum Davidson there for second place. It was a poor start from Mr. Richie McLeod, fighting with James Rice for the 4th place transfer spot, and side by side for the lead across the line. There goes Kendall Tucker up the inside of Bob King, takes the lead and keeps it.
Yeah, great work there by Kendall Tucker. He is a wild card, and we've seen so much pace from him at the moment. Everyone's sitting in pretty tight at the moment. Not too many incidents to speak of.
Yeah, there was almost one up the back. Jacob Dixon flinging it in there and almost making contact with Ashton Manif and James Rice, who's fallen back to last place. Kendall Tucker starting to gap the rest of the field as Bob King moves to the inside to try and gain a little bit of extra pace. But for that 4th place transfer spot, Richie McLeod under some great pressure now from Clayton Davies. A little bit of a compromised exit from Clayton, taking a bit of a narrow exit there, but continuing to keep it together. Coming on to the 7th lap, Kendall Tucker just seems as uncatchable here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we're just seeing a few different line choices as well. Ashton Manif and as well as Richie McLeod sticking it right on that berm there at the moment, as we're just seeing a slide job just in front there from one of the Pace Syndicate cars. I believe that was James Rice, but pretty clean race looking like at the moment.
Yeah, it is. And Clayton Davies there moving up into that 4th place versus Richie McLeod. But lap 8, one more corner then for Kendall Tucker, and that was quite the easy heat win for Kendall. Bob King comes across the line in 2nd. 3rd is Callum Davidson, and Clayton Davies completes the top 4. Richie McLeod, unfortunately, missing out on that transfer spot in the last couple of laps. Time then for the final heat of the night. It's another 10-car grid for this one. Lewis Hewitt, who sits in 4th place in the championship, was challenging, but after a poor round at Charlotte, he is almost out of contention. He starts alongside Daniel Gow, who has taken a feature victory this season. Aaron Kelly and Joel Berkeley, 3rd and 4th on row 2. Championship leaders starting on the outside. Brenton Hobson and Ethan Bastian behind them, with Butts and Schultz on row 4. Nash Granger and Hayden McCandy rounding out the 10 cars here. And I reckon anyone in this field could potentially take victory. This is a very competitive heat.
Yeah, I think this one would be pretty tightly contested by the looks of it. Definitely some big names, especially the likes of Hayden McCandy. So really excited for this one. Berkeley as well. Got to keep his nose clean.
Yeah, that he does, and that's something that he's had a bit of trouble with in the last couple of rounds. Although not entirely of his own doing. It's just been a bit of melee in quite a few opening stanzas of features, and Joel Berkeley has come off 2nd best, but can't forget that Lewis Hewitt has had a fair run of poor luck as well. One more lap then to come to the start.
Yeah, and we just have seen that insane race pace from Berkeley. Not forgetting last round in the feature, coming almost from the back row, almost to the front. So, yeah, just an absolutely great show there.
Yeah, for sure. If there's anything you can count on for Joel Berkeley, it is snatching some kind of victory from the jaws of defeat. Lewis Hewitt runs them all the way up to the outside. They were tapping each other, were Hewitt and Gow, as we come off the start, and Gowie getting compromised. Aaron Kelly moves through in front of him, and it's a great run from Daniel Gow, but he's unfortunately not able to do anything. Joel Berkeley, on the other hand, slides on through. A bit of contact there between Berkeley and Kelly. Kelly trying to come up the circuit on the exit, but Joel Berkeley with the pace, he has secured that second place, and we got a car over the berm there. Who is that? That's Ethan Bastian. My goodness, smashing himself into the wall, and he is out of this heat.
Yeah, we're just seeing Aaron Kelly trying to get a bit of retribution there. About a second and a half on the pace. We did see that early contact and contact with the wall again, so just holding on to that transfer spot with the grip of his teeth at the moment there, Reese.
Yeah, that he is. He's got the driver of John Schultz and Brenton Hobson behind him wanting that spot. Joel Berkeley, meanwhile, trading places with Daniel Gow. They're having a right old battle for second place, and seems like they're just swapping positions corner to corner to corner. But Berkeley seems to have a slight advantage on that particular lap. Here comes Daniel Gow, though, to try and fling one up the inside. Doesn't take the opportunity just yet. Lewis Hewitt has absolutely blown the field away here. Got a great lead as he's going to come up to get the white flag this time by Joel Berkeley, almost over the berm. And that's put him down into the 4th place transfer spot. This could potentially ruin Joel Berkeley's night, because Brenton Hobson now going for the move gives Berkeley a tap. It's on between them, but up the front, Lewis Hewitt taking victory. Joel Berkeley tries the slide job on Aaron Kelly for 3rd, and it looks like he's just gotten it. Aaron Kelly there in 4th, but a very strong 2nd place there for Daniel Gow, and Brenton Hobson just missing out on the transfer.
Yeah, great work there by Berkeley. I think that was only about 0.05 of a second there on the line there. So just getting through, or both of them getting through to that absolutely critical transfer spot.
That's it. So he escapes this C main grid, which is headed up by Damian Rasmussen and James Rice. Hayden McCandy and Ryan Harris in 3rd and 4th, with Howell and Manif behind them. Devin Butts and Scott Griffiths start alongside each other, and Dylan DeBono and Daniel Selleck rounding out the top 10. Last 2 cars in this field, Ethan Bastian and Cooper Dunn, and it seems that we still have not seen Cooper Dunn rejoin the service, so it's only going to be 11 cars here. Ethan Bastian, crashing out of the last heat, will start dead last, and that's going to be a difficult one for him. The top 4 positions transfer through into the B main, so if Ethan Bastian wants a potential spot in the feature, he's got an awful lot of work to do.
Yeah, that is a big task ahead for that Pace Syndicate car. With and there's almost we say it in almost pretty every heat, a very stacked field. So a massive task ahead at the moment.
Just got a little update from Brady Baldwin, the race director here at Oceanic Dirt Sim Events. Without drop rounds and Joker, after those heats, the top 2 in the championship, Berkeley on 2,360 points, Hartigan on 2,351 points. Joel Berkeley has already dropped his one of his worst rounds, so that can definitely change towards the end of the night. But on paper, only 9 points between our top 2 in the championship.
Yes, such a close battle, and it's been amazing seeing him come through the line. Is just about to see the pace truck come off.
Indeed we are. We're about to get a start here. Rasmussen leads them away. That's a good start on the inside. Hayden McCandy slides on through. James Rice back then into 3rd, and now potentially into 4th as Ryan Harris has a run at him coming into the last couple of turns. The field fans out behind them. Oh, and Ryan Harris compromised on the inside, as was Hayden McCandy. McCandy almost getting pincer moved here by the 2 cars. Yes, he has. Ryan Harris, and oh, that's a car very slow. That's Zach Howell with problems in the number 76. Must have been a little bit of contact or just running over the berm for him. Ryan Harris is in the transfer spot right now under immense pressure from Hayden McCandy, Dylan DeBono, and Ethan Bastian, who has moved himself up the field, but a little bit of contact between himself and DeBono. Bastian escapes Ethan's been one of the drivers with some very poor luck this season. There goes Ashton Manif up the inside of James Rice, and a great move there with the slide job to secure that position.
Yeah, that's right. Ethan, Bastian, and McKenny still just outside that transfer spot at the moment, so they'll need to put the pressure on to try and get in through to the feature at the moment.
Yes, indeed. This is a very tight battle between these guys. Ryan Harris sitting in that third place. Damian Rasmussen has gapped all of them at the moment. And Ethan Bastian currently sits in the transfer spot with James Rice pressuring him for it. Have a look at that. Ryan Harris with a poor run through the corner. They trade places once again. This is a 12-lap C-main, by the way. Ashton Manif just making contact there as they come onto the 8th lap. Ryan Harris almost making contact with Ethan Bastian there, who powers around the outside across the berm. And he's now coming up to the back of Rasmussen. Rasmussen, I think, making a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, we're just seeing Ethan Bastian now.
Look at that.
Starting
like
to really...
nothing.
Yeah, absolutely powering away. Not forgetting that he started almost dead last in this heat. So unreal work there by Ethan Bastian. He's definitely put in the hard work here in this consolation.
He certainly has. Coming around to start lap 11 then is Ethan Bastian. 2 laps to go for him, but for the transfer spot, Ashton Manif under pressure from Dylan DeBono and James Rice, who've been swapping around, trading positions the entire time. Looks like he might just have it here on the final lap if there isn't a big lunge from Dylan DeBono up the inside. Damian Rasmussen and Ryan Harris very close for second as Ethan Bastian just rounding the final corner to take a dominant victory. DeBono tries it up the inside but is covered, and Ethan Bastian crossing the line to take victory. DeBono rolling over there at the line, but Harris, Rasmussen, and Manif will join Ethan Bastian in transferring through to the B main. That's quite dramatic. Unfortunately, missing out is going to be Dylan DeBono, James Rice, Devin Butts, Daniel Selleck, Hayden McCandy, Zach Howell, and Scott Griffiths. We say goodbye to them. They are going home. But for the 4 in this in the C main, the top 4, it's going to be a whole other gauntlet to run in the B main. They are going to start all the way at the back of this one. It's a 17-car field headed up by Max Lumsden and Harry Stewart, who is going to be desperate for a spot in the feature, as is Richie McLeod. Brenton Hobson is going to line up alongside McLeod on the second row. Lockie Beattie and Nathan Bennett on row 3, with Jacob Dixon and Nash Granger on the 4th row of the grid. Stevenson and Russell rounding out the top 10. Over the page, it's Braden Shute and John Schultz, who line up 11th and 12th, with Corey Steinhauser and Ethan Bastian 13th and 14th. The rest of our top 4 there from the C main, Harris, Rasmussen, and Manif, rounding out the field.
Yeah, you definitely think for those 4 that have just transferred through, keeping nice and sharp there, finishing such a great race there and straight back out in the track again, so that might give them that little bit of an advantage over the rest of the field.
Yeah, I reckon it might. It's going to be an interesting one, this B main. We got 2 extra laps from the C main, so 14 laps in this one. It is going to be 14 laps here. And the top 8 transfer through into the feature, so we'll be focusing on that 8th place transfer spot towards the end. Max Lumsden just raring to go there at the front of this field, and you can see how much the track has evolved here.
Yeah, it's exactly right. You can really see these channels starting to be cut in, especially at the top of those berms there as well. Very early on, there was quite a lot of loose dirt there, so it's been really ground in. Few different line choices as well. A lot of people taking that apex, so starting wide, cutting in, and heading wide again.
Yeah, exactly right. We're about to get a start here in the B main. 14 laps is go, and Max Lumsden, very even start with Harry Stewart off the front row. Stewart was right on that start, but Richie McLeod challenging for third. There goes Harry Stewart round the outside into the lead, and Jacob Dixon lunging up the inside and backs everyone up there behind him. Lockie Beattie and Jaden Russell having to take some avoiding action. But Jacob Dixon desperate now to advance a little further in this top 8. And the leaders almost together here. Brenton Hobson getting tapped in the battle with Max Lumsden. But Harry Stewart starting to break away from all these guys. Richie McLeod fighting with Jaden Russell for that second place, but for third on back, it is super tight, and Richie McLeod into the wall. He falls back. Brenton Hobson now up into third place. Can Richie McLeod recover?
Yeah, expecting a pretty good... and just a little bit of contact there on the...
There we go. More contact between Ethan Bastian and Jacob Dixon, as well as Braden Shute and Nathan Bennett coming together as well. Ashton Manif is completely lost here. He's fallen off the back of the field, and the top two starting to break away, and Max Lumsden and Brenton Hobson fighting hard for third place. This is quite the battle for third, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly right. And yeah, Jacob Dixon almost collecting a, having a run-in with a car on almost every lap. But yeah, Harry Stewart putting in a massive gap at the moment. Definitely using that top momentum as we're just seeing Hobbo with two other cars. I think it's Ethan Bastian and Richie McLeod at the moment, fending them off.
It's Lockie Beattie in the 8th place transfer spot at the moment. He's under pressure from Nash Granger, who's trying to search for some fresh dirt on the inside. They're side by side for 8th. And Jacob Dixon starting to fall back into the clutches of these guys. There goes Nash Granger past Lockie Beattie. Gives him a tap as well for his troubles. That might open up an opportunity for Braden Shute. We'll have to wait and see. The fighting continues.
Yeah, some pretty strong pace there from Nash Granger, a wild card. So just seeing Jacob Dixon again running in really, really tight there, and looks like we've just had a car aboard on the top there. I think that might have been Nathan Bennett with an incident at the back there, Reese.
Yeah, might have been. That's unfortunate if that is the case, but the field is spread out now, and it's going to be Harry Stewart, who's in the lead at the moment with 2 laps to go as he crosses the line. Ethan Bastian, meanwhile, battling hard with Jaden Russell. He's advanced through fantastically as Ethan. It seems like in the later night, Ethan Bastian's pace is really something special. But in that transfer spot at the moment, Nash Granger is the one, and looks like facing another big charge. Oh, he tried to advance forward, but he's made contact with Lockie Beattie and sent him over the berm. So Nash Granger might come under fire from the stewards on this final lap, but Harry Stewart comes across the line to take victory in the B main. Ethan Bastian in 2nd. Jaden Russell completes the podium. Hobson in 4th. Lumsden 5th. McLeod comes home in 6th with Jacob Dixon and Braden Shute rounding out the top 8 there. Nash Granger with that contact at the very end, unfortunately, put him out of the transfer spot.
Yeah, that's exactly right there, Reese. So close yet so far. Only about half a second there to Braden Shute, but yeah, unfortunately, that's his night done.
All right. That's very unfortunate for all the drivers behind our top 8. Granger, Schultz, Rasmussen, Harris, Beattie, Manif, Stevenson, Bennett, and Steinhauser. We all say goodbye to them, but we do have a feature grid now, and the next thing we're going to have to focus on is the random invert. And of course, if things have gone right, we should have our friend the spinning wheel ready to decide the random invert. Okay, it looks like we might have to turn to a random number generator for that one. So we'll let our director take care of that as we talk about the racing to come here in the feature. The track looks to have been reset in this warm-up session, and the driver's already working it in, and you see an example there, Nick, of a big crash that could potentially happen in this feature.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and not knowing as well, we're seeing a few other cars head off that berm at the moment. So we do have safety cars this time, so we could see If you do come off, there is a chance to get back into it. So it can make a it's usually around a 30-lap race. I'll have to double check the length of this one, but yeah, it can generally extend it quite out a lot with these constant safety cars.
Yeah, certainly can. It's going to be a 35-lap A main, so manual lap counter will be set to 36 laps, and just gotten back with our invert. It's going to be the top 13 that get inverted here. So, wow, I'm going to be looking forward to that. I'm just going to scroll on over to the feature grid. It looks like Daniel Hardigan is going to be starting on pole with Joel Berkeley in second. Our two championship protagonists on the front row.
So yeah, it's going to be an excellent, probably a really clean battle between the two with not too many other cars in the mix there, but big losers for a few people, potentially as well for Cameron Dance as well, who was quite up that leaderboard, but will be pushed down in that big invert.
Yeah, that they will. Would have been Brad O'Brien, Cameron Dance, Kendall Tucker, and Lewis Hewitt top four were it not for the invert, but they're going to have to start the back of the top 13 drivers. Lucky 13. Hopefully it translates into a bit of extra luck for drivers like Joel Berkeley, who have really suffered in the last few races of the season. Goodness me, Daniel Hardigan there and Cody Lawrence just coming together at the very high speeds that we have around this circuit. A little bit of side-by-side contact can cause the cars to be drawn into each other, and from that point, there's not much you can do, Nick.
Yeah, it's exactly right, and already seeing quite a few cars testing out the limits there as we're just seeing Daniel Hardigan, so he'll be off that front row as well, and just a few other cars coming out of the pits now. But yeah, just people testing that limits of that berm, try and work out where they can kind of stick in. But yeah, definitely don't want contact here. We've been pretty lucky at the moment. There hasn't been too many big incidents. There's only just been a couple of cars here and there.
Yeah, that there has. So, just a few more minutes then as the drivers work the track in. Joel Berkeley is going to be very happy to hear of that top 13 invert starting on the front row with his main championship rival. And once again, we will confirm who the championship leader is, who the champion will be after the checkered flag flies. But it's very close between Berkeley and Hardigan. Harry Stewart, I think, is not going to be able to make much of an impression because he's going to be starting in 17th in the feature, is Harry. So quite a bit of space between his two championship rivals.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You could almost say this is going to be a two-horse race, but as we've seen, absolutely anything can happen here. We've definitely seen, even in round 7 last week, if you've got the pace, you can almost bring it all the way from the back. So definitely all about keeping that nose clean.
Exactly right, and great view here on board with Daniel Hardigan, showing how little margin for error you have around this circuit, going all the way down to the inside in the last couple of turns, which is interesting, sticking more towards the outside in turns 1 and 2. Of course, that will mean that over the course of the feature, there's going to be 2 separate grooves forming, one at the very top, one at the very bottom, and that means that the middle line will be open for some extra grip.
Yeah, that's exactly right there. We just see Hardigan just working that high line at the moment, but yeah, you can check in, especially on some of the onboard, how big that elevation change is on these bankings. It's almost if you're the car behind up on the top of the bank, you're almost... Yes, we're just seeing Hardigan making the most of that elevation, turning it into a jump there. But yeah, you're quite perched high up, looking down at the other cars down below.
Yeah, that you are. Looks like everyone's returned to the pits in preparation for the session to be moved forward. Reminder, it's going to be 35 green flag laps here in this heat. In this feature. I'm still making that mistake. But the ASC series has truly been something special. Very close championship fight, and just about any driver able to take victory at any particular round. We've seen some great drives from a lot of drivers, and definitely some heartbreak as well for the likes of Lewis Hewitt late in the season. But pretty soon, the green flag is going to fly, and we'll be out and ready to crown a champion. Will it be Joel Berkeley? Will it be Daniel Hardigan? Can Harry Stewart vault his way through if Berkeley and Hardigan have a bad race and take the surprise championship title? Remember, the best round, the best points round is doubled for every driver, and they can get rid of their 2 worst rounds. So that's going to have an effect on the results. It's going to jig things up a little bit.
And we'll definitely see potentially even one of the wild cards. We've got such a stacked field at the moment here. So, yeah, definitely anything can happen. We've seen, especially in round 6, the wild cards being so competitive. And, yeah, knowing that it is the very early hours of the morning for a few of the guys that are out in the Midwest and the southern states of America.
Yeah, exactly right. Especially for the likes of Kendall Tucker. He's gotten up pretty early in order to take part in this. But now we're through into the feature session. It's going to be a few laps behind the safety car. And hearing in the chat that there might be a 4-wide lap with the drivers, which would certainly be something special to round off the season. Lernerville certainly has the space for it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly right there. And just seeing them all line up here in the pits. Also, the pits being on the outside of the track too have been quite used to the bigger circuits that we've been in the other parts of America where the pits are on the inside. So starting from the outside, and then they kind of almost drop down off that lip there.
Yeah, they got to be very careful coming out of the pits, as you'll see here. They got to slow down in order to get down onto the banking and onto the circuit proper. There's potential to damage your car if you take it too fast. So drivers do have to be careful there, but the drivers start sorting themselves out, and black flags will be cleared by race control once the iRacing green flag is flown, and then we will have 1 lap of manual pacing from all of these drivers before the green flag flies, as has been done over the course of this entire season. So Berkeley and Hardigan take their places at the front of the grid.
Yeah, we're just seeing the advantages of not having that wall there when everyone's trying to get their position jostled out. We've seen a few cars go all the way on the outside of the banking there, so plenty of room to get yourself sorted here.
Yeah, for sure. But it's not going to be too beneficial when it comes to racing conditions, because when you're at speed, man, it is quite the ride when you go over the top of that berm, as we've seen a couple of times here tonight. 4 wide between the drivers then. And we get a great view of this beautiful field. A lot of great paint schemes to be seen in this grid.
Also showing how much space there is on these corners as well. We are seeing the 4-wide salute at the moment, showing the end of the championship. Plenty of space there, so definitely different strategies will be at play.
Yeah, that they will. So let's see how things go for these drivers. Joel Berkeley and Daniel Hardigan on the front row. Away we go, and it looks like Daniel Hardigan getting the advantage on Joel Berkeley as we go green for the final feature of the season. The 2 championship rivals, Daniel Hardigan in front of Joel Berkeley, as there's a little bit of drama further back in the field. Scott Reed coming off the top of the berm, and Bob King taking a little bit of a trip down towards the inside, but the top two fighting incredibly hard there up the front. Joel Berkeley working the inside versus Daniel Hardigan. Got another driver over the berm. It looks like that's Scott Reed once again, and he's not able to get back onto the circuit. Hardigan protecting the lead then from Joel Berkeley as the field fans out. And it's yet another problem, this time for Ethan Bastian. He's made his way over the berm.
Yeah, we're just seeing a few people going a little bit too hard too early over the top of the berm. So Jacob Dixon was another one as well, falling victim to the berms here. We're just looking a little bit further back behind Daniel Gowd to Lewis Hewitt and Callum Davidson.
Yes, indeed. Lewis Hewitt and Callum Davidson, drivers fighting for that fourth place just off the podium. Very close between these guys. Bradley Oldfield in on this as well. Brad O'Brien, meanwhile, mired in the fight for the lower reaches of the top 10. Cameron Dance and Kendall Tucker in with him here. There's Kendall Tucker getting ahead of Brad O'Brien, but O'Brien tries round the outside. Can he get the run? No, making contact between himself and Tucker, and he gets slammed into the wall. Loses 3 positions out of that one. Dance, Hobson, and Clayton Davies now all ahead of him. Brad O'Brien will be looking for something better from this round. He's seen some success, and oh no, he's into the wall, and it looks like this might be a caution. No, he escapes out. So no caution there.
We've just seen off screen as well, Daniel Gow over the top of the berm as well. So we haven't seen any safety cars yet. That is going to play it in the hands of Hardigan and Berkeley, trying to get out in front and trying to keep their noses clean.
Yeah, they've already come up to lap traffic here. Max Lumsden, Aaron Kelly, and Scott Reed now in the company of our leaders who are continuing to fight tooth and nail for the championship title here. Berkeley lunges his way up the inside. He tries to get a little bit of a gap over Daniel Hardigan, but Hardigan wise to it and goes for the move once again up the inside, trading places as they come up to the lap cars. Of course, this is dirt oval racing. They have no obligation to let them go, but ultimately having to concede, and Hardigan now with the advantage over Joel Berkeley. Bit of an unassailable gap starting to form if Berkeley doesn't pick up the pace.
Yeah, Berkeley may be making a little bit of an error there going down the inside there of Scott Reed. Some of the lap cars, they are coming across a couple more lap traffic now, so this is really playing into the hands there of Daniel Hardigan.
That it is. Joel Berkeley is starting to come back at him as we look further on back in the field. That's a problem for Lewis Hewitt. Falling back into the clutches of Caden Brown, who slots his way up into third, and Bradley Oldfield taking advantage as well in the midst of all of that.
Yeah, Caden Brown having a pretty rough ride there. Oh, and just as I've said that,
oh, it's Hardigan! Daniel Hardigan! He's out! Daniel Hardigan is out! Oh, yeah, we have to get a replay of that one because, oh no, this is dramatic. Thanks to our mates at Modem Simulation, Hardigan and Berkeley came together at the exit of turn 4. Berkeley going for the inside and then parks it on the line. Contact, and Hardigan smashes into the wall and onto his side, and he will not return to the circuit. That's Daniel Hardigan's championship charge over. Massive heartbreak in the final heat of the season.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate there for Daniel Hardigan. We'll be watching the rest of the race from the pits, unfortunately, if you'll stick around. A pretty unfortunate result there, being stuck on his side. We've seen a few contacts like that, and sometimes you can bounce and get back onto your wheels and get back underway, but yeah, definitely not the case.
Oh my goodness. Well, if anything, this may just work out to an anticlimactic championship end, because Harry Stewart, at the time the caution came out, was in 7th place. He's made a great charge, as has Brenton Hobson. Stewart started in 17th up into 7th. Hobson started 20th up into 6th. So those guys have had some great luck here in the opening stanza of this race, but there's just too much of a gap between Stewart and Berkeley at the moment for that points gap to really be made up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Stewart as well, having we'll have a bit of a difficult time there. I think there's a bit of lap traffic as well. It looks like they're back underway there, Reese.
They are indeed, and Joel Berkeley got a good start there. Lewis Hewitt then working his way up into second spot. Bradley Oldfield, Kendall Tucker, and Caden Brown behind him, all fighting for those positions in the top 5. And Harry Stewart may want to get onto the back of this if he can escape the clutches of Brenton Hobson. There's a car off, and it looks like that is Caden Brown, who's made his way off the circuit, way off the circuit over the berm, and that's an escape back to the garage for him. So we say goodbye to Caden Brown. Joel Berkeley, though, holding on only just up the front with Lewis Hewitt just behind, and Kendall Tucker working the very inside, which not many drivers are doing in front. The fight for 6th on back is something special, though. Cody Lawrence and Callum Davidson fighting hard, with Cameron Dance right in the middle of a pack involving Nathan Norman, Richie McLeod, and Clayton Davies. Daniel Gow wants to try and get in on this as well, but at the moment, it's Dance up at the front of that pack. Oh, he pushes a bit too hard into the corner, and there goes Davies, getting the position on McLeod by sliding up the inside. He might try and do the same to Nathan Norman here, as Dance in the yellow car up the top, yellow and black, suffers the consequences of the slick groove up top.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He does have Daniel Gow and Jacob Dixon right on the back there. Looks to be getting away pretty cleanly at the moment there. But yeah, Joel Berkeley still under a lot of pressure at the moment from Lewis Hewitt. Only about 0.3 of a second at the moment.
Yeah, very close between the two of them, but they have actually gapped Kendall Tucker and Bradley Oldfield behind. Lewis Hewitt, very experienced dirt racer and formerly teammates with Joel Berkeley, now an independent driver, goes for the inside line, tries to work the middle and the very bottom, straighten out the exit as much as possible, but it hasn't translated into an excellent run into the last couple of turns. Coming round then to start the 27th lap, I believe. Yes, the 27th lap of this race. Mr. Hewitt just working the middle line where there is a little bit of extra fresh clay. There's Bradley Oldfield going for the move on Kendall Tucker, who's been shifted to the outside line, but looks like he's wise to Oldfield's slide job. He's going to go back up the inside once again.
Yeah, I was just looking as well with Berkeley. It has not that safety car you would think was going to be make it that little bit more difficult for him, but it actually has a bunch of field up, so not having to deal with lap traffic as much as what he did before. So not sitting too bad, but yeah, you can see that 2-second gap opening up to Kendall Tucker in third.
Yeah, exactly. And Hewitt continues to pressure Berkeley. That's a car off. That's Aaron Kelly down in, was 14th place at the line. So that's going to be a shame for him. There goes Bradley Oldfield on Kendall Tucker. Tries the slide job, but Tucker just escaping with a car's width. Tucker back down to the inside, and it's a move for the lead. Lewis Hewitt making the move on Joel Berkeley, and they come together. Oh, a bit of contact there between the two of them. But Joel Berkeley will want to stay out of Lewis Hewitt's hair there. He's got a championship to think about. If Hewitt takes the win here, he's not going to have enough points to elevate himself ahead of Joel Berkeley in the championship. So Berkeley, I think, just letting Hewitt go there. And the closest battles now at the top of the field are for that third place, because Harry Stewart started to fall off the back of Bradley Oldfield and Kendall Tucker, who are trading places there across the line. Just a couple laps to go then in this feature.
Yeah, Oldfield and Tucker almost trading places every corner at the moment there, with Kendall Tucker with the advantage at the moment, both maintaining a pretty similar line there. Oh,
issue for Tucker. Big issue for... No, it looks like it's... it looks like that might actually be the finish. That might be the finish, or it might be a caution. Well, the caution has been thrown, and Joel Berkeley with second place. Everyone's escaping back to the pits. That is the finish, guys. Looks like we have it done. Hewitt taking the final victory of the season in the ASC Championship. Joel Berkeley finishing in second, with Kendall Tucker coming across the line in third place. And we'll have to wait for some confirmation from our race director, but that might be enough there for Joel Berkeley to secure the title. Daniel Hardigan, his main championship rival, classified in 21st and not able to make it all the way to the finish. Those results that you're seeing on screen, not quite reflective of what has just gone on. Your top three is Hewitt, Berkeley, and Tucker. So, there we go. It is confirmed. Brady has messaged me. Your champion for the ASC series in 2020 is Joel Berkeley.
Yeah, and what a drive as well. Had some really good luck with this one. Very, very unfortunate there for Hardigan landing on his side and unable to get his sprint car back up and running there. So still, you'd have to both of to the top three and to all the drivers in the ASC. Such an amazing season. Unfortunately for Hardigan, just so close yet so far. Unfortunately, with that incident, with only 10 laps to go, really.
Yeah, right at the final hurdle. Well, Daniel Hardigan, I certainly hope will come back stronger from this one. The first driver that we're going to speak to, by virtue of being the champion, is Joel Berkeley. G'day, Joel. You're the champion, mate.
Hello. I guess it's good to go 2 for 2 for the year, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Taking the win in the 360 Power Series and now in the ASC Series as well. It was definitely a fun battle between yourself and Daniel Hartigan until you guys came together on the exit of Turn 4.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what happened there. I went back and had a look at it. And it just looked like, I don't know, a bit of weird neck code or something like that, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, big shame for the championship fight to end that way, but certainly after with the second place in the feature in the final round, a great antidote probably to your last couple of rounds in this series where it looked like your championship lead was under threat.
Yeah, look, I'm glad I didn't have to go through a B main again. Finally, it's nice to not have to go through one of them, and yeah, well, after missing Eldora, it sort of put us behind the eight ball of not being able to have a bad round. We had not bad rounds. It was just rounds that could have turned worse if they didn't turn around. But yeah, I'm thankful to be able to run 7 weeks and come away with a championship. It's cool deal.
Certainly is, and you have the opportunity here to thank all of your supporters and your sponsors for an excellent season run, Joel Berkeley. Who gets it done for you, mate?
Yeah, look, massive thanks to the guys at Slick SimSport for all they do, and also massive credit to the team at ODSE for all they've done this season. I think the changes to the format and everything made for a lot more interesting season and a lot more wild racing, and yeah, I think it would change what we wanted, and yeah, I mean it's cool, and hopefully the next one, I'm not sure what the next series is, but I heard we might be putting some fenders on, so that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, okay. That's a good scoop there. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how that turns out. But Joel Berkeley, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations once again on your championship title.
Thanks, guys. Always good to have a chat, cheers, and yeah, congrats to Lewis on the win and Kendall on third as well. So yeah, awesome as. Have a good one.
And hopefully we speak to Joel Berkeley a few more times next season. And I could definitely say the same for this guy, Lewis Hewitt, the feature winner at Lernerville. Lewis, you've worked your way up from a bit of a lower position thanks to the invert, but coming home with the win certainly looked like he had the pace over Joel Berkeley in the final half.
Yeah, definitely had a great car out there tonight. It's probably felt the best it's felt all season. Yeah, really happy to come away with a win. First one of the series. Thought I wouldn't get one, but yeah, it's nice to finally get it done.
Yeah, and it'll certainly help you to secure that fourth place in the championship, potentially third, depending on how it works out. Because, yeah, Harry Stewart and Daniel Hardigan both finishing a bit of a ways down behind you. In fact, Daniel Hardigan not finishing at all. So a great end to the season for you, but it has been a bit of a patchy season for you in terms of results. And do you think it's just down to luck, being in the right place at the right time, or are there things you can work on to improve your running next season?
It's not really luck. It's just, I've got to drive better sometimes. I think that's a lot of the issues. But yeah, it's been an up and down season, quite a few DNFs, and I think a feature not made for me. So not as high in the championship standings as I wanted to be, but I think I should come away with a third, and that's not too bad at the end of the day.
Yeah, certainly. It'll be something to be proud of and you can look back on very fondly, Lewis. But next season, Joel has told me that we might be expecting some fenders on the cars. So that's certainly going to be an interesting change.
That's not good for me. I'm not particularly good in the late models. UMPs, I think I heard a rumor about those, and they could be quite fun, though, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Whichever it is, we certainly look forward to seeing you guys strutting your stuff around the dirt tracks in the same way you did this season. Before we let you go, Lewis, is there anyone that you'd like to thank from your top spot on the podium tonight?
Yeah, big thanks to Slick Sim Sports for all their help. Great group of guys there. And the random color generator for my paints all season.
Yeah, we have a random number generator. You have a random color generator. Thank you very much, Lewis Hewitt, for joining us. Your winner in the feature tonight. Final driver interview then, Kendall Tucker, third place. Well, Kendall, it was a dominant victory for you at Lanier, but starting a little bit further down here at Lernerville, still working your way up gradually to third. It was a measured and good drive from you.
Yeah, just we had to overcome that invert. Unfortunately, just we had a good run in our heat race. Would have had us starting third. I definitely would have rather started there instead of 11th or 13th, wherever we started. Just the track with that reset right there, it was kind of hard to pass early. Just everybody was pretty fast, and then the last, I don't know, 5 or 10 laps, the track kind of felt like it was coming to me a little bit, and 3 and 4 felt like it was widening out just a little bit, which is what I needed when it was just top there for that 20-25 lap run there. Just it wasn't for me. I didn't have the pace that Joel and Lewis had, but just I think if we might could have got a caution right there, I think the track had slowed down enough to where we might could have had something for him right there on a late race restart or something.
It's certainly an interesting situation for you being in America and having to get up quite early for these races. How does that affect your preparation for races like this?
Well, honestly, I just happened to be up early this morning. I went to bed kind of early last night, and I was up early this morning. Just and hopped on here with Joel and Lewis, and was running the race with them. They're a couple of my teammates. So just to come on, get on here and have some fun with the Australians. It's a different type of racing. I feel like over here, it's fun for sure, and exciting that invert. So it's pretty cool too. It just changes things up a little bit, and always you seem like you're on your toes over here. It feels like, but it's all in good fun, and hopefully we can make it out to a couple more of these.
Yeah, speaking of which, can we expect you to make a couple of appearances next season? Rumored that we're going to be changing cars once again.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just if I'm up, this on Thursdays, I don't have in-class sessions with the pandemic and COVID going on and stuff. So, if they're gonna race and we're up early, we'll probably show up. Just depends on the track and car combination, pretty much. I just want to get on here and have a racy racetrack. Some of these tracks on here still aren't quite as racy as they could be. So it's just you really just gotta pick and choose a little bit, especially with the way that I'm living, getting up early in the morning. It's not very enjoyable to get up to run at a single file track for sure.
Yeah, fair enough, Kendall. Well, before we let you go, mate, is there anyone that you would like to thank? Any shout outs or sponsors?
Yeah, just my guys at Swindell Speed Lab and Slick Sim Sport, and just thanks to all these guys over here that put this league on. It's awesome. Just thank y'all for everything. Appreciate it.
That's Kendall Tucker there, one of the few Americans in this field, and third place in the feature tonight. Well, that brings to an end proceedings for the season, Nick. We have a champion, Joel Berkeley. It looked like he was going to stumble in the final half of the season, but just holding on, and Daniel Hartigan running into some heartbreak and losing out on that championship fight. What a dramatic conclusion to the season.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Reese. We had seen, especially in the last 2 rounds as well. So yeah, Joel Berkeley almost having to race in every single race in the C and the B main, coming up from behind and just having some really bad luck. But yeah, luck was definitely aside from the talent as well, but yeah, luck did definitely help him out this time around. Definitely got the edge over Daniel Hardigan, who was the unlucky one this time. So yeah, really pumped for next season as well. Cool little scoop as well. So yeah, it'd be good seeing a bit of a change up.
Yeah, certainly will. And whenever the next Oceanic Dirt Sim Event season comes around, we're certainly going to be bringing it to you here on the iRacing Esports Network and presenting ourselves as SimSpeed TV. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage of this 8-round season. We hope you've enjoyed the racing tonight. It was certainly a great way to conclude one of the best seasons of online dirt racing I personally have ever seen. My name's Reese Gardner. It's Nick Skariev who's joining me in the commentary box, and Scott Fountain filling in for Jay Kennedy on the cameras tonight. From all of us at SimSpeed TV, we want to thank Oceanic Dirt Sim Events, Brady Baldwin and Bob King for their support of this series, putting the whole show on in the first place, and to SM Sim Sport for their support, Modem Simulation on the replays as well. It's bye for now, but certainly not forever.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Sec's very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?